Welcome back to the Asterisk War Anime Review, episode number 2. This I'm discussing only 3 episodes of the series, which is basically episodes 5 through 7. Forgot to mention this when it comes to the last video, that the first 4 episodes adapted the very first book of the light novel series. If you're curious though how many light novels were released for the Asterisk War series, there have been officially 15 released, and from what I like to line, almost the entire series has been released here. Unlike what Shiver Fell Night, which for some reason stopped after just releasing 2 volumes. I'm like, seriously? You stopped after releasing 2 books? While a series like this that is very somewhat similar premise has released almost the entire series here. Yep, in these episodes we have more characters make an appearance. We have Karen Toto, at the time, number 1 ranked student. She's supposed to be Brina Knickerbocker. Great character. She is the only new character from the main school. We also introduce the other presidents of the schools. We introduce Ernest Verkloff, who's voiced by Vic Mignola. Yes, a guy who was chastised by Funimation for an alleged sexual harassment case. Though this happened I think it's about 2 years ago, I think this was. Yeah. Though I think it was really stupid, the fact that the sexual allegation accounts came out right after the release of Vic Mignola's, at the time, most recent film that he was in voicing a character, namely Dragon Ball Super Broly. Though this is not Double Funimation, this is basically Aniplex. Yep. We also have... Yeah, she's makes the viewer. The student president... Yeah, basically they show up all the student presidents. All but one shows up in this first episode. Now, the president of... the student president of the Jai Long 7th Institute is a woman by the name of Zilong Fan, voiced by Karma Lee. Great voice actress. We also have a couple other characters. This is from the Arsenal Academy. Yeah, this is the woman who basically was the one who created the puppets for Sirius back in episode 4. Yeah, and when she needs to make her get to admit, she's voiced by Cassandra Lee Morris. Good voice actress. Does a really good job here. Now, this is another voice actress I'm familiar with. Carmela Burrito, who simply put basically doesn't like Saya very much. She's voiced by the awesome Christina V. Awesome the fact I got a chance to hear her voice again in this series. It's been a while since I've actually heard her voice in this series. I mean, this year alone, I think was about 3 series basically I heard her voice in. Aside from this one, there was also Konosuba, where she voiced the character Darkness. Did a great job voicing the character. And voicing the character Elsa from ReZero. Yep. And here's the thing. All 3 of these are light novel adaptations. Yep. Let's see. There's also Derek Urban of the Louisville Black Institute. Yeah, this guy is somewhat described as a jerk. Yeah. He's voiced by Kejin Tong. Let's see. Yeah, there's one they mention here, but she doesn't make a debut here. Sylvia, the student president of the Queenville Academy for Young Ladies. Yeah, she's mentioned here, but she's not actually in the episode. We also introduced to Karen's basically not very good uncle. Yes, they also mention her father, who... Yeah, it seems like her backstory is very similar to Saya's. Yeah, they explain Saya's backstory here. First, you have Ayato running late for his practice with Jules, and he runs to Karen just by sheer coincidence. He apologizes, and then later on, he basically runs to her again, though this time he stops her uncle from hitting her, though he basically has a duel happen right there, and the opponent is basically the girl he saved. Though he loses. Though she basically knows his particular style, which is a swordsman's style is very similar. It's basically well known as hers. Though he's not very well known, but the style is known. And then of course he meets up with Jules, who has their practice. Then later on, like I mentioned about the whole thing with Karen, who was revealed to be rank 1. Yep, rank 1. And then of course she meets with him later, where he basically they get along pretty well. They basically form a very good friendship. They're not officially called friends yet until like the end of episode 7. Okay, why don't you go train with Jules and Ives? Those are what you train. Like, I can't exactly train people who are on page 1. Like, okay, how about just train with me? I'm not page 1. Just train me on my early morning training routine. Like, okay. And of course, Sai is later seen spying on him, and she basically pokes fun the fact that a woman who's 3 years younger than she is has got basically big breasts compared to her being flat chested. Yeah, it's a minor. Once again, we'll bring up the minor gag of the fact that basically flat chest, that women who are basically don't have big breasts tend to poke fun at women who've got big chest. Yep, that's some big gag. It's like, okay, he explains basically who he's been hanging out with. Like, okay. She of course explained about her father, the fact that he was chastised basically for was basically put in prison for some stuff he may or may not did. So I guess father basically, ruled by, come on, and they don't get along very well. And of course, Christine, I forgot the woman's name. I had to look over here. Let's see here. Where is she? Here it is. Urstina, when she meets up with Ayato, she does something that takes off Jules and Saito. What does she do? She kisses him on the cheek, which makes him extremely jealous. And basically take out their swords, and they come like, you get off our man. Like, okay. I thought this was kind of funny. Yeah, 2 women getting jealous over another woman for kissing a guy they may have a thing for. Yeah, it's later revealed that from what I read about if these two do in fact have feelings for him. Yep. Though, of course, then they have Ayato and Karen sort of go on a date in a way, where they get sort of had to be they're basically there with Jules and Saito. So they're just hanging out. They're not really doing anything wrong. And then, of course, they fall into a hole, which, of course, Ayato falls in first, so Karen tries to save him, but he ends up falling in. They battle some monsters down there. And of course, they get wet because of the water. So they end up basically taking their outfits off, basically stripping down their underwear. And, of course, she becomes the second woman he sees in an underwear. Yeah, a woman who's 3 years younger than she is. She's 13. He is 16. Now, in case you're wondering, is this icky? No, it isn't. Because if you look at her, she kind of looks like a high schooler, despite the fact she's a middle schooler. Yep. And, of course, they basically bond over this. And, of course, they're both embarrassed at this. Of course, he does this thing where he keeps patting her on the head. She doesn't mind it at all. And the thing is, apparently her father did it to her a lot when she was around, which she doesn't mind at all. And then, of course, after they get out of the hole, he, of course, slaps her. The uncle slaps her again for basically being in love with him. And then, of course, she stops him from hitting him. So he basically challenges. She decides to challenge Ayato to a rematch, this time in an actual stadium, and, very few actually there, basically. Just mostly a lot of the regular characters, like the student council president's there, Claudia's there, along with Jules, Saito, Ayato's roommate, and Lester. They watch the battle. It's a really good battle, a battle which Ayato wins, because Karen forfeits. And then, of course, she asks a couple favors, like, she call him friend, and he, of course, call her friend. Yes. Their uncle inside the storm in, basically, that she, of course, wants to follow her path, and wants nothing to do with him at all. Because, of course, about that information about he covered up what happened with their father. And then, of course, Claudia over here is like, normally I wouldn't get involved with personal family affairs. But since she's a student here, you piqued my interest. And then she's like, wait, I know your mother. I'm out of here. Yep, because he basically, it's revealed that he really wants to get on the top brass. But he really wants that, but because of his ruthlessness, he never would get it. So, and of course, Saya basically later asks, and of course they had this really good post-credit scene where you have, once again, third time, you actually, this is the second time you get a chance to see, well, Karen in her underwear. This time she's basically, well, Saya sort of, in a way, kind of ambushes her, but basically kind of spooks her. Like, okay, so we have very similar backstories. Let's get partners in the actual upcoming festival. Though, of course, she asks Ayato, but he declined because he basically was with Jules. So they agree. They got partners. And she's like, what? Yep. And that's kind of what happened in these past 3 episodes. It's very good. Very good arc that they basically had in this one. Not a lot of new characters. I mean, there's a few characters, the student council presidents. I mean, with the exception of the opening scene in episode 5, they don't really appear again for the rest of the arc. Mostly just focus on Karen, her uncle. And that's it. Just these two. There's a little bit of development with the 2 characters up at the end of episode 4. A little bit there, but mostly they're just basically background antagonists for this arc. But at least they're not trying to attack them again. Well, with lightning arrows again. But these episodes overall really good. Okay, so that's this particular review. My next review, well, probably won't be until tomorrow, which will discuss the final 5 episodes of Season 1, and then I go back to Naruto Shippuden for the Fated Battle of Brothers, which after I do that arc, once I finish up Season 1 for this one, because I'm taking a break from this one, because, well, I haven't read books 4 through 6 yet, so I'm going to be working on covering anime in between this. I'll reveal what anime I do with a temporary replacement for this one when I pretty much do my next video for this one. Yep. I'm trying to think, was anything else I missed? No, that's it. Yeah, also, the studio who made the series is A1 Pictures, despite the fact I didn't see in the credits. Apparently, Dave Production had a hand in this. Maybe they co-produced it, it's possible. But mostly it's done by A1 Pictures, which is not the first series, basically, I've seen from A1 Pictures. But they do a pretty good job with animation. Though a lot of people were chastising them recently because they decided to let go of 7 Deadly Sins and handed off the studio Dean. Yeah, a move that from the fans of the anime thought was a really bad idea. I thought Dean himself did a pretty good job with the series. I'll probably talk more about that at a later date. Presumably, maybe when I, let's say, well, do a review maybe of the one-shot that came out for the series. Possibly, yes. I'm hoping an OVA comes out. I mean, it's been like 2 years since an OVA was released. I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to release an OVA for this one. Yeah. But yeah, until I see you all tomorrow, just do a review of Asterisk War and presumably one for Naruto Shippuden. And then maybe I'll start my next anime, which I'll do that probably tomorrow. Okay? Do this next video. Bye.